You may have grown up in a home where there was food on the table, clothes on your back, and a roof over your head. From the outside, everything looked fine, but deep down something always felt missing. You learned to handle things on your own, to not ask for too much, and to stay quiet about your feelings. Emotional neglect in childhood is often invisible, even to the people who lived through it. It doesn't always come from abuse or cruelty. Sometimes, it comes from silence, distance, or parents who are physically present but emotionally unavailable. In this video, we're going to explore the subtle signs of emotional neglect and how it quietly shapes adult behavior in ways most people never realize. If any part of this feels familiar, stay with me, because understanding this pattern can be the first step toward healing. Before we go deeper, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Pattrens. This channel explores the hidden psychology behind our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional patterns. And if this topic resonates with you, you'll find a lot of value here. One of the most common signs of emotional neglect is difficulty identifying your own emotions. You might feel something is wrong, but you can't quite name it. When someone asks how you're feeling, your mind goes blank, or you respond with, "I'm fine," even when you're not. As a child, your emotions may not have been acknowledged, validated, or discussed. Over time, you learned to disconnect from them. This doesn't mean you don't feel deeply. It means you were never taught how to recognize or express what you feel. So emotions now show up as confusion, numbness, or unexplained anxiety. Another subtle sign is extreme independence. On the surface, this can look like strength. You pride yourself on handling everything alone and rarely ask for help. But underneath, this independence often comes from learning early on that relying on others leads to disappointment. When your emotional needs weren't met as a child, you adapted by becoming self-sufficient. As an adult, this can make relationships difficult, because depending on someone feels uncomfortable or unsafe, even when they genuinely want to support you. People who were emotionally neglected as children often struggle with feeling like a burden. You might hesitate to share your problems, minimize your pain, or feel guilty for needing comfort. This belief usually forms when a child senses that their emotions are inconvenient or ignored. Over time, you internalize the idea that your needs are too much. As an adult, this can lead to suppressing emotions, people-pleasing, or staying silent even when something deeply hurts. Another sign is a constant sense of emptiness or something missing, even when life looks good on paper. You might have a stable job, relationships, and achievements, yet still feel disconnected or unfulfilled. Emotional neglect doesn't create obvious wounds. Instead, it leaves an absence. That absence often shows up as chronic dissatisfaction, restlessness, or a feeling that you're just going through the motions of life rather than truly living it. Many emotionally neglected children grow into adults who are highly sensitive to rejection. Small changes in someone's tone, delayed replies, or perceived distance can trigger intense self-doubt. This happens because emotional safety was inconsistent or missing during childhood. As a result, your nervous system learned to stay alert, constantly scanning for signs of abandonment. Even healthy relationships can feel emotionally risky when this pattern is deeply ingrained. Another subtle sign is difficulty setting boundaries. You may say yes when you want to say no, tolerate behavior that makes you uncomfortable, or struggle to express your limits. As a child, your boundaries may not have been respected, or you may not have been allowed to express preferences and feelings. Over time, you learned that your needs didn't matter as much as keeping the peace. In adulthood, this can lead to resentment, burnout, and relationships that feel one-sided. Emotionally neglected individuals often have a strong inner critic. Your inner voice may be harsh, judgmental, or unforgiving. This critical voice often develops when external emotional validation is missing. Without encouragement or emotional guidance, children learn to motivate themselves through self-criticism. As an adult, this inner voice can become exhausting, constantly pointing out flaws and mistakes, even when you're redoing your best. Relationships can feel confusing if you were emotionally neglected. You may crave closeness, but feel uncomfortable when it's offered. Intimacy can feel overwhelming, while distance feels familiar, but lonely. This push and pull dynamic isn't a flaw in your character. It's a learned response. As a child, emotional connection may have felt unpredictable, so your nervous system learned to stay guarded. Healing begins when you recognize this pattern rather than blaming yourself for it. It's important to understand that emotional neglect is not always intentional. Many parents did the best they could with what they knew. They may have been dealing with their own unresolved trauma, stress, or emotional limitations. Recognizing emotional neglect is not about assigning blame. It's about giving language to experiences that shaped you and offering compassion to the part of you that adapted to survive. The good news is that these patterns are not permanent. Emotional awareness can be learned at any stage of life. Healing begins with noticing your emotions without judgment, allowing yourself to need support, and practicing self-compassion. Therapy, journaling, and safe relationships can help rebuild what was missing. Over time, you can learn to feel, express, and trust your emotions without fear. If this video is helping you understand yourself in a new way, make sure to like it and subscribe to Mind Patterns. We create content that helps you recognize hidden emotional patterns and move toward clarity and healing. Turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos that dive deeper into the psychology behind everyday struggles. Emotional neglect doesn't mean you're broken. It means you adapted. You learned how to survive in an environment that didn't meet your emotional needs. Those adaptations once protected you, but they don't have to define your future. Awareness gives you choice, and with choice comes the ability to build healthier relationships with yourself and others. As we come to the end, I want you to know this. If you recognized yourself in these signs, you're not alone, and nothing is wrong with you. Your experiences matter, even if they were never acknowledged before. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small moments of understanding, self-kindness, and courage. If this video resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know which part stood out the most, or if you recognized a pattern you hadn't noticed before. And if you think this video could help someone else feel seen or understood, please share it with them. The more we talk about emotional neglect, the more we break the silence around it. At Mind Patterns, we believe that understanding your past is the first step toward changing your future.